The General is considered to be Buster Keaton's masterpiece, largely due to its ability to be a comedy, an action-adventure movie, and a war movie all in one. The train chase at the center of the story has Keaton doing some of his most dangerous stunts because, yes, these are real trains, and yes, he really is doing all of that. But The General is important for another reason. Keaton based the story of this film on real events that took place during the Civil War, but changed the story in such a way that it could be told from the perspective of Confederate protagonists. In a way, I suppose he succeeded at making the movie more interesting, albeit at the expense of making it more morally complicated. It's still a good movie with beautiful cinematography, great jokes, incredible action sequences and stunts, and a solid story, but watching it today we are ideally rooting for the antagonists the entire time. There's a great temptation to schadenfreude here, to take pleasure in every little misfortune the leading man and his girl face on their adventure. This is because one of the main reasons the southern half of the United States rebelled by creating the Confederacy and starting the Civil War was because of political tensions resulting from their resistance to ending slavery. Yes, the culture of the entire United States was built on slavery, and we are still dealing with that evil, but the culture of the Confederacy was defined by it. Now, we can remind ourselves that not everyone in the South owned slaves. Some people may have fought for other reasons, for family, for a sense of duty, or injustices, real or perceived, perpetrated against them by the North. And even if their intentions were evil, evildoers are still people, and if we think about this, we can go beyond thoughts of killing or torturing our enemies and ask ourselves interesting questions like, when is it just to kill? Or how do you deliver justice to a person who has a great desire to do great evil and great power to do it? But these thoughts would not have been the common response from an audience member in early 20th century America. One of the first popular American movies was D.W. Griffith's 1915 movie The Birth of a Nation, and one of the most popular movies of the century was Gone with the Wind, released in 1939, and both films, like The General, are from the Confederate perspective. All three are not simply trying to empathize with the other side. The Civil War was not a distant memory in the early days of cinema. People were alive that had lived through it, and it was still very present in the cultural consciousness. Thus, sympathy for the Confederacy was common. And yes, I acknowledge that it is still common today, in different ways. In fact, this movie can help us confront how pervasive the evil of slavery is in American culture, even a century later, even 2 centuries later. At the time of my writing this, America could be said to be in a cold civil war, and it's the same 2 sides as before, though the details are, of course, complex. Compared to The Birth of a Nation and Gone with the Wind, The General is the most enjoyable to watch because it doesn't contain racist depictions of African Americans. But this in itself is a problem. The absence is glaring. In the movie, the Confederates do not do anything particularly good, nor does the Union do anything particularly evil. They are simply people who have to fight each other in a war, much like 2 sports teams have to compete. And yes, all of these people are people and should be respected as such, but they are not simply people. Slavery is an abuse against human rights. Slavery is evil, perhaps the fundamental human evil. If you are born in a culture of slavery, you are still morally responsible for examining the morality of your family and your community. A family that upholds a slave culture is not a family worth fighting for. They are decadent and perpetuate that decadence through the generations. You do not want that corruption in yourself or your children. Think for yourself, and ask not what will bring you honor in the eyes of your kin, but what will bring you honor in the eyes of the human spirit. So, why has this thread of evil persisted so strongly in American culture? I suppose it comes back to that question of, how do you deliver justice to a person who has a great desire to do great evil and great power to do it? Humans are good at taking away each other's power to do evil. But that's not enough. The desire to do evil persists. Changing a person's desire to do evil and healing them is much harder. This is what we must now learn to do.